right, everybody, welcome back to Full Circle with Joyce. We're jumping straight into our viewpoint discussion this morning. But first, let me shout out a number of you who are already watching and sending in your feedback. Nyinyi ni wale wase tunawashukuru sana. At 8:05 a.m., my first SMS for the day. Good morning, Joyce. I'm Lois, watching from Yata. Asante sana, Lois. Hey, Joyce. I'm from Meru, although you don't leave me your name. Abdul Aziz, you're watching the show from Malaba border. Asante sana. Brian Mao, you're watching the show from Maraba Massive at Thika. Okay, and you say, great show, Joyce. You look dope. I like your show. Thank you so much for that. Cornelius Chepkwani, you're watching from Cheplaskei, Uasin and you really enjoy the show and the programs here on Switch. Thank you. Hey, you're Francis Ndungu. You say you're tuned in from Nyandarua, Kalau, I guess. Nyandarua. One more here. Good morning, Joyce. Caroline tuned in from Juja. And you're responding to my question that I posed to you this morning as far as it's a brand new month, it's a brand new week. What are some of your ambitions and your goals? And you say, my ambition this month is to start a new semester well and to do my projects well as I wrap up school. Finally, also waiting for more and better episodes from Full Circle with Joyce. Asante sana for that. And Godspeed as you complete your studies this semester. I also have some feedback coming in on SMS, and you can on our Facebook channel platform, and you can also contribute your comments there. The page is at Switch TV Kenya on Facebook and Twitter, and at Switch TV KE on Instagram. Of course, the hashtag is Full Circle with Joyce. But with that said, let me introduce my very first guest for the day. With me, I have Anthony Njoroge, who's the operations manager at Deep Africa, and you're joined by Kelvin Masharia, who's the customer service manager also at Deep Africa. Karibuni sana to the show.
Thank you for having us.
Happy September.
Yeah, happy September. Happy September.
All right, first of all, just tell us a bit about what Deep Africa is as we lay down some context here.
Okay. So Deep Africa is an online solutions provider. We covered every one of the problems that any young business would have in getting online. So basically providing them with the ability to have an online presence that is robust and one that people can be able to trust, because many of the times a lot of young businesses may not have a lot of cash, and sometimes they resort to taking things like free email addresses, which something like @gmail.com, which may not be very professional. And so what we come in to do is provide them with an online presence that is trustworthy with their own brand name. Okay. So for instance, joyce.co.ke. And so they're able to interact with the world in a way that first boosts their brand, helps their brand get identified in a more trustworthy way, and help them grow towards that direction. So we create websites as well, and that's the direction.
All right. So we want to talk about cybersecurity today, and also we want to look at, things like ATM scams. How do we secure the things around us? A lot of businesses starting off now are taking off online. That's, there's no rent to pay, perhaps, like for a physical space. And so a lot of business are, starting off marketing themselves online, establishing themselves online, trying to broaden their networks there. But, as you're talking about creating websites and whatnot, what are some of the biggest things to keep in mind? We're seeing a lot of content management systems that allow people to sort of do it themselves. Is that sort of, best practices the way to go there, and are they safe?
Now, I would say, especially if you don't have a budget for it, and most young businesses don't have a budget to have a large, spend a lot at the beginning, the best way is to start with the content management systems that you talked about. And they are safe if you know what to do, how to keep yourself safe. And there are some very basic things that would help you stay safe. But I would say it will depend on you as a user. If you're willing to learn, if you're willing to be innovative and be able to search online, you can actually be able to manage your business online for very cheap, which is what most businesses have. So I would say, yes, they are safe, but you need to be aware of some of the risks that exist and protect yourself from them ahead of time. And so with that,
How much does it usually cost, though, to create, say, if you want someone to, because you're saying it's expensive, how approximately how much are we? Is there a range you can provide? I know it will vary on the different inputs, but is there a range you could provide?
Mostly the cost of our website is dependent on the content that the client wants to have on the website and the system that they would like to be integrated with within the site. The key question to ask is, what is the use of the website, or who is the main target of the website? Who is the main target of this digital workplace that you want to be able to reach? Do you want me to just come and see the information pasted on the website? Do you want me to make an action, like let's say purchase a product? So the cost of the website or the workspace will be highly dependent on the end user and the different integrations and the infrastructure that needs to be instituted on the site for it to work.
Is there a range, though, of a basic website?
I would say the reason why, well, it actually depends. It can be as low as just for a basic landing page that just contains information, as low as something like 5,000 shillings, because you would get an account with us for 3,000 shillings, just for hosting, and then just create a simple landing page. And there are a lot of freelancers out there who are willing to do it for very cheap. And so it can be really low. However, in our experience, we see that if you choose a very lower end, you may not get very good quality. So on average, our website built by us costs around 46,000. But that inherently is slightly more than what a very young business that is just 2 days old would require. And so it can be quite affordable.
Let's touch on this then. So even if someone has, say, a budget website, because at the end of the day, this discussion is about cybersecurity. So, you know, what does that, so I'm trying to get us to the point where we're looking at, should that be an investment on the get-go? Investing in a better website, because does that 5,000 bob that you're saying, does that factor in all the different security certificates or not?
So, for instance, if you have an account with us, we provide, there's something called a SSL certificate, which is, these days actually is provided by all web hosting providers for free. And the way you identify it is when you log into a website, on the very left-hand side, you'll notice a padlock. And depending on the browser you're using, either it's going to be green, but at the same time you want to have a domain name that starts with HTTPS. Now, those are provided for free by almost all web hosting providers, and at the same 3,000 shillings, 3,364 shillings, you will have basic security embedded into your site. Now, the problem with that then after that you have to take care of is how is the website going to be built? Because the things that are going to be used to build the website could introduce vulnerabilities that then introduce challenges both to your business and to the users of that website.
All right.
Yes.
All right. Yeah. So when we're talking about cybersecurity nowadays, we've heard about all sorts of different things. We've seen about hacking, even government systems being hacked in different countries, companies, sites being hacked. Just explain this whole environment to us and how we as consumers, people who are constantly on our phones, our lives are on the internet now. How we bank is through the internet for a lot of people, how we communicate through the internet. What are some of the different safeguards that we can sort of apply for ourselves?
I think one of the key things is controlling the amount of information we share online. There are so many requests for our information, emails, phone numbers, identity card numbers. I think controlling the amount of information we share online is a key way to ensuring that we are safe. The second thing that I would suggest that many people overlook is passwords. You see, sometimes we set passwords and forget. You have used the same password for 4 years, 5 years, and with the new the growth of hacking is tending to something that we call brute force, where hackers built a system to try multiple passwords on your specific account, and even if it will take 1 billion times or even several billion times, there is this one password that the system can be able to break into your system. So I think frequently updating your passwords, changing them, as soon as possible, as often as possible, is one way of safeguarding your security online. The other thing is ensuring that when you go to a website, like my colleague Anthony has stated, Google normally nowadays will tell you whether the site is secure or not. So it will tell you, do not share your information on this site, because the site either has been marked by other users as not as insecure, or Google itself has seen malicious content on that specific website, and they will actually tell you in advance that this website is not secure. So I think just taking that precaution, that before I enter my email address, before I enter my personal details, what is this website? And I think I would go to my third point is, what are other customer reviews saying about this website?
Okay.
Yes.
So when you're saying like our passwords, for example, these are things we should change often, about how frequently is that?
Approximately not more than 3 months. Do not use the same password more than 3 months. Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
I know people who are watching it, they've had the same password
For
tena ni
years.
sentence.
Yes.
Ama
Yes.
ni pin,
Yes.
sijui ni birthday.
Yes.
For like 5 years, but 3 months.
Yes, and I think also to add, I think you have mentioned something else that many people make a risk of. I have my let's say my email as masharia@gmail. Then I use the password as masharia. So it's also a risk that many people expose themselves to, because many people will use the same password as the username. There are some integrated systems, such as our hosting solution, that will deny you from using that. It won't accept you to use the same password you have as the name of your website. The other last thing is, people are logging into machines, and I go to a cyber, I leave my email account logged in. I do not care to log out.
Hi, people.
Yes. So that's an issue that we expose ourselves. You see, if I have my personal email, you would expect most of my contact my personal information, such as let's say my identity card, I will store them online on my personal email. So if I do leave the email account logged in on a cyber somewhere, somebody will just come in and log in.
Sure.
Yeah.
How then do we create good passwords? What are some of the tips about creating a good password?
Before actually coming to the best password, I would say the email address password is the most critical of them all. You can be trivial about all the others, but if your email address password is very weak and you do not protect it very cautiously, they can gain access to everything else using it. And so the first thing that I personally do, and I think I encourage everyone around me to do, is have a unique password for your email address that is only used on your email address. Because that means that if they gain access to anything else, and try to either change the password, or that you discover a vulnerability on something like Facebook, or even your own hosting account, it will send the reset password, the reset code, to your email address, and so you'll be able to recover your account more easily. And so in answering your question, in creating a strong password, now it needs to be something that you will remember, but someone else won't. That's the simplest way to go about it. Now, many of the systems these days will allow you to actually do a sentence that has spaces in it. So a good password would have some letters capitalized, having some symbols in there, including spaces if the system allows, is important as well. And if you want to make it really secure, then add symbols like hash. Actually, hashtags are used a lot, so don't even use hashtags. Use some of the more obscure symbols. And so by doing that and making your password something like 7-8 characters long, and something that you will remember, is something really useful. So like being able to, like writing a sentence that you would personally probably not say very often, but something you'll easily remember, is a good way to start.
And so even with that nicely complicated password, still every 3 months?
Now, if sometimes...
Very briefly, so that I can take a break.
Okay, 3 months... I would say yes, especially if something's very critical,
All right.
or use a password manager.
All right. And we'll talk about that actually, what you've just mentioned, password managers. There's a lot of different apps coming up now with ways to sort of store your passwords and if that's a safe thing to do. This and much more when we get back from the break. We're also going to be talking about ATM scams and how to secure your account. Lots of you guys have been, maybe had an experience that wasn't too good with that. And also shopping online. Is that safe or is it not? This and much more when we come back right here on Full Circle with Joyce. All right, everybody, welcome back to Full Circle with Joyce. This morning we're talking about cybersecurity and digital workspaces, online information, all of that good jazz. Hopefully you guys know how to protect yourselves. We've just been talking about passwords. Aki, ka uko na password ya your birthday, maze, change to say. It's not safe. And don't use your first and last name also. That's not a good password. But I do want to get to some of the questions in the comments I have coming in. There's a discussion actually happening within our Facebook comment section of Wangari Waititu asking if we have a shortage of skilled cybersecurity experts. And someone, Job Rudolph Malone has actually posted an article there citing this shortage of skilled cybersecurity experts, which is exposing the ICT sector to a lot of trouble. Is that you guys' viewpoint as well?
I would say cybersecurity is becoming a bigger challenge every day. And so the demand for people who can be able to solve those problems is growing. And I think part of it is we do not get enough training in that regard, especially for the courses like computer science and so on. They may not be doing specialized courses on cybersecurity. There are organizations that actually help in training that, but I think there's a gap in there because the scale at which the problem is growing versus the number of people who can handle it are mismatched. So there is a challenge with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if I could X out of this image here, Wangari Waititu, you've sent in a screenshot asking the guest if they think this is true. I'm gonna just open up this link. It's courtesy of the Daily Nation, and then I'll share this with you guys. But there's this interesting infographic here: cybercrime talent gap. What's your take on that? We're seeing this on screen, so you might zoom out.
Oh, okay. All right.
Maybe if you can just sort of tell us what you're seeing there.
Okay. So the first on the left-hand side. 10 million cyber threats detected by the National Cybersecurity Center. I would say there may be more cases actually happening than are reported.
So it could be more than this 10?
It could be more. It could be more because like with us, there are a lot of accounts that get compromised because of those same issues with passwords and so on. And many of them will not even be reported because some of them are not really major, that your website was defaced, and you don't really want to go and take it up with any authority, so you just replace a backup of it.
Maybe people don't know you can take it up with an authority.
That's true, but at the same time, sometimes it may not have really damaged anything. They may probably just have defaced some. Some of the hackers out there may be just kids experimenting.
Boredom. When the VBS or something.
Exactly.
Hack my website.
Yeah, so part of the challenge around that is that a lot of, like we had an intern who was working with us who enjoyed hacking for fun. And it's something, now there's something called ethical hacking.
Ethical hacking. That sounds like such a, what do they say in English? Is that a oxymoron? Yeah.
Yeah, but the reason why it's called that is because you are a good person inherently and wants to learn how to hack to be able to help people to strengthen their own systems. And so you learn, or like set a thief to catch a thief, but in this case you're not really a bad person, but you learn all the ways that your accounts can get compromised so that you can fill up and seal up all those gaps. And so there is, it may be more than what is being reported. Yeah.
Before the break, we were talking about this idea of, and thank you, Wangari, and was it Job? on Facebook for posting this link here. Yeah, Job and Wangari, asanteni sana for that feedback. Certainly you've contributed to our discussion today. So you've been our digital panelist, Nashkuru. But just before the break, we were talking about password managers. And the idea of that is there's a place that you go and list on this page, this is my password, on this page. How is that safe?
To some extent, it depends on the platform that you're using. One thing that we recommend is, let's say you're using a browser. Google has a new feature where you can store password within Google. We believe Google is a more secure and robust platform.
Sure.
But now what you need to be cautious of is the password to access the Google browser that you're using, or the email account profile that you are using. Yes, then do not use something that we can know. If, let's say it's Joyce, you have the password as Joyce Omondi in lower caps. That will we can really be able to guess on, about the same. But now ensuring that there are a lot of password managers, but not all are safe. So one thing is, even before you subscribe to any of the managers, go online. What are other people saying about the same? Are there reviews done? Are there frustrated customers who have used the services previously? What was their experience before with the use of the password managers? So just being cautious to do your ground check to ensure that the services you are subscribing to has positive reviews, is rated well by analysts and as other users as well.
Okay. Let's move on now and talk about e-commerce, buying and selling online. That's become a huge trend. Lots of us are doing it. Is it safe to do? I know in Kenya, very few sites are allowing or will take, thankfully, because we have mobile money, very few sites will ask you to input your card details. But generally, shopping online, or using your debit card or your credit card to purchase things online, or even for those selling online, what are the risks involved?
Now I would say the biggest risk, actually there are two very big risks that are there. One is identity theft, which I think we are going to touch on, that your information, and that would happen not even just on online shopping sites, wherever you're filling your information, but at the same time, the financial loss that would come as a result of your financial information being taken and used in the wrong way. And so I would say, to a good extent, shopping online is like the same as shopping in a normal, like physically, because you will not go into a dingy place. If it looks weird, you probably won't go and spend your money there or give them any of your details. So in the same breath, though there are a lot of similarities in there. So meaning that if you're going onto a website, is it reputable? Do they look like they are legit? Are you able to establish whether they actually are selling the things that they're selling? Are the reviews fake, and so on? And so it's safe, but you need to be cautious about it. It's becoming safer even here in Kenya. And a lot of people who are like legit business owners are selling their products in a good way online, but there's still a lot of scammers out there.
So what exactly should we be looking out for, like on a site to try and shop online? Of course, those are the times where PayPal came through, and that seemed to be very secure for a lot of people. But are there certain things we should be looking out for? Any sort of badges we should be seeing on a e-commerce page when we're trying to check out?
I think one of the most important thing is what we talked to at the beginning, the SSL. For you to give out your personal details and especially your payment information, the site should have an SSL certificate. And the other way of identifying a credible site is a point that I've talked about customer reviews. What are other people saying about this specific site? You can also be able to get the information about that specific site and the sources, their location, their offices. One is doing what we call a whois check. Who registered that specific domain? That is the www. Where are they located? You'll be able to get that information online for free because it's freely available for everyone.
Someone can search that on their own?
Yes.
Where do you go?
You go to any search engine, such as, and then type who is,
Who is?
WHO and then IS, either .net or .com.
Okay.
Those are websites that are help in identifying who is the owner of this specific website.
All right, I need to cut you off there, but I think we get the gist of that one. So the Who is website, reviews, and the SSL certificate. Our time is really gone. So very quickly, let's talk about ATMs and how we can secure ourselves from that. Of course, in Kenya, there was a time we saw a lot of people concerned about their funds being taken or people stealing their identity through the ATMs. What are basic tips for someone to use to safely use their ATM card or at ATM machines?
I think one of the most important things is ensuring that you do not receive assistance by anyone who you do not intimately know when at an ATM. Making sure that they have kept a good distance away from you. And that's the reason why, like, you see queues being like several feet away from the ATM itself. And then there are sometimes ATMs where someone will, like an attacker, will just place a camera, which you may not be able to see, right above the panel, with the goal of reading the pass key. And so one of the things that is advisable is just place your hand above.
How would they, because at the end of the day, you take your card and you go with it. But even so, they're still with the, if they've seen your password and you have the card, can someone still hack you?
There are two ways about it. They will place a camera above, right above the place where the password is, and then within, sometimes if an ATM is not very secure, not very protected, or even if the staff probably are in cahoots, they would place a scanner that duplicates your card, duplicates the card details. Now that is a bit on the advanced level, but it is possible. And so the two things you want to keep separate are those two, that number one, your PIN is protected, and that your card details, your thing has not been scanned. So when you're at an ATM, just check whether there's something that looks fishy about the ATM. Do any parts look loose?
Keep
or
your
anything
eyes
like
out.
that.
Very quickly, this is like a yes or no, because I literally don't have time. What is the safest way to build an e-commerce website, by use of WordPress or coding?
WordPress.
WordPress.
Yes.
Interesting.
I have my reasons for that.
Interesting. I thought you were going to say coding.
No.
All right, all right.
One of the reasons is over
10
60,
seconds.
over 60% of websites worldwide are running on WordPress.
Okay.
It's an open source software that is updated by everyone, so it's much safer than building ground up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Easier also.
Anthony, Kelvin, asanteni sana for coming
so
through
much
to
for
the show.
having us.
Thank you for illuminating us today as far as cybersecurity is concerned. Yanika, if you've not had anything else about this discussion, just change your password from your birthday or your names. Okay, you know, cybersecurity is very, very important because it stretches to your digital identity, and we've seen cases of people actually be involved or be accused of crimes that they didn't commit simply because they didn't guard their information securely. So be mindful of that. Thank you once again, gentlemen, for coming through.
Thank you so much.
We're going to take a short break right now, so that at the top of the hour we'll be back with Personal Development Monday. We're bringing in the couch, and we of course want to talk about transferable skills. We also want to talk about achieving your most ambitious goals and office pet peeves. This and so much more right here on Full Circle with Joyce. Stay tuned.